Miraculous Ladybug. Probably one of the most popular kids shows right now. There have been 5 seasons of this show, with season 6 coming very soon, as well as a full-length movie and multiple mini-movie type things. The show started in 2015 and I was watching it from day one, French dub in like the lowest quality on YouTube. Before it even came out in English, I was hooked to the show. And I've continued to keep up with this show, even if it's been a bit of a roller coaster. The story has many issues, but I still keep up with it. I'm probably always gonna keep up with the show no matter how bad it gets. So it was very exciting when a Miraculous Ladybug video game was announced. Now there have been official games before, like there is a few apps. One of them I was quite obsessed with for a while. It's pretty fun, and then there's also an official Roblox roleplay game as well. Roleplay games and Roblox games aren't my thing, but it looks good. But a proper full release game on console and PC? Now this is epic. Watching the trailer for the first time, I thought it didn't look too bad. Now I always know not to have too high expectations when it comes to kids video games, because they are often made very quickly just to make some easy money from kids that are fans of the show. But seeing the trailer, I thought, you know what, this doesn't look too bad. But you do kind of realize that the trailer mostly shows cutscenes and very little gameplay, and there's a good reason for that. And we find out that the game is made by a company called Game Mill, who I hadn't heard of at the time, but looking them up, they're mostly known for like Nickelodeon games, like Nickelodeon kart races, if you're into that. Oh, and we can't forget the American Ninja Warrior video game. Now that's exciting.
Boy, they say speed kills, and it looks like he's about to kill this boy.
However, last year Game Mill kinda got quite well known because they released a game that you might have heard of. Do you remember the game Rise of Kong that everyone was talking about for a little while? You know, because it was really popular for being the worst game of the year and how awful it was. Yeah, that was made by Game Mill, so we know we're in for a treat. Looking at the fandom wiki of Game Mill, which is labeled the Dreadful Games wiki, there is a long list of problems with their games and false advertising they've had on many of their games to make them seem like they're more interesting than they actually are. It's made pretty clear that there's no life put into these games. They're just made to make a quick buck on a low-effort, disappointing licensed game. But at the time of the Miraculous game release, it was before Rise of Kong, so I wasn't really sure what to expect, and after playing the My Little Pony official games from Outright Games, I quite liked those games. I thought they were beautiful. I already made a whole video on those just a week ago. So after that experience, I was excited about this game because I thought maybe if it's not good, it will look good and still be satisfying like the My Little Pony game. I was wrong. I bought this game on release day in 2022 and I paid full price for this game, which is probably my biggest regret in life. The game was 70 New Zealand dollars when it came out. That's like a little bit less than like a new Mario game. Usually they're like 80 to 90 New Zealand dollars. I still can't believe that game was $70 when it came out. And I even brought it from the eShop as well, so I couldn't even just like sell it later on. So I played the game for about an hour and then stopped and didn't touch it again until this week. I don't think I've ever stopped playing a game that quickly. Like, usually I really feel the need to like try and get my money's worth when I buy a game, even if I'm not enjoying it. But this game was so janky and glitchy that I gave up. But recently I saw a few people start playing the game because the game was on sale for like $10 or something. So many regrets. And after I really enjoyed making my video on the My Little Pony Outright Games, I thought, you know what, I'm finally gonna finish this Miraculous game and make a video out of it to make it worth it. So here we are. I restarted the game and I'll be going over the story with you all and the gameplay. The game is only 3 hours long, so surely I can get through this. So I got this game on my Nintendo Switch and the game starts with a cutscene right away, which already looks quite different to when they showed this in the trailer. What happened to these textures? I think that there's a lot of texture errors on the Nintendo Switch version of the game, because when I was looking up other gameplay from like PlayStation and like PC, a lot of these looked a lot better. So it seems they weren't maybe planning on releasing this Nintendo Switch, or just don't bother changing anything to make it work better on Nintendo Switch. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me since there's not many details in this game anyway, so I don't know why it would be that hard to translate it properly, but alright. The game starts with Mayor Bourgeois using robots to get rid of pigeons to make Paris cleaner. Incredible looking pigeons, by the way. They look like they've been stepped on. And we see the iconic Mr. Pigeon, already akumatized, who uses his power to turn the pigeons into pigeon bots to get revenge. The animation here is just mind-blowing. But Cat Noir and Ladybug are here to save the day. right after this very long loading screen. The loading screens in this game is so long, they will drive you insane. So now we can play as Ladybug or Cat Noir, and we have to track down Mr. Pigeon. Honestly, not a bad start to the story. You know, it's right into it. It's a classic Miraculous episode and the classic villain, Mr. Pigeon. I like that. Good start. We can switch between Ladybug and Cat Noir, which is pretty cool. We have to fight the pigeon boss, and the fighting animation is really bad. It's so choppy looking. I know the animation in Miraculous is kind of choppy looking, but like, this is so bad. We can jump really high, go onto the rooftops, and chase him down, collecting these orbs as we go. We also collect macaroons. There's different colors. I still don't actually know what all the colors were for. And this will pretty much end up being most of the gameplay in this game, running around the rooftops in this repetitive environment, chasing down villains. I don't think the cityscape looks that bad in some areas, but it gets pretty repetitive and boring very fast. It makes the city feel incredibly bland. The fighting gameplay is just so underwhelming. You're just button mashing A. I mean, you have to like occasionally dodge a hit, but it doesn't matter that much. I was hoping they would at least make the fighting fun, even if it was repetitive, because some games are like that and they're still fun, but this was just so boring. Once we catch him and fight him some more, which you can actually die if you lose all your hearts and you have to restart, which can be annoying because the game will often be too glitchy or laggy and will cause you to get hurt. And this scene specifically got super laggy for me because there's just too many flying pigeons here, which made it get so laggy, which is going to be a theme on every boss fight. But thankfully the fight is very easy. You just kind of button mash and hope that you do something. But Cat Noir gets to use his Cataclysm, and Ladybug uses her Lucky Charm, which is like a timing kind of game, so it's basically just like watching a long cutscene while pressing a button every now and then, and it gives you plenty of time to press it as well, so it's very easy. But I guess it's kind of nice that we get to use the, you know, abilities, but we're not really doing anything. I love the ending freeze frame they do though, it just looks really funny. Also, to get all the stars, you have to collect like every orb and macaroon, I think, which is so not satisfying. Like, I want to get these stars, but I don't want to collect like 400 orbs. We then appear in Marinette's town and we get introduced to the rest of the riveting gameplay. Reading! Hooray! So yeah, pretty much this is how the story is told. A few cutscenes, but mostly it's just these terrible still images with text. No voice acting. Even though there is voice acting in the cutscenes, which the voice acting is actually good, by the way. It's the same voice actors as the show, but they only use them for the cutscenes. Now, this kind of gameplay is the worst for me. Now, I have dyslexia, so that probably is the reason why I hate it so much, but it's just so boring and lazy, and it just shows these terrible pixelated PNGs instead of gameplay. We don't even get to go into Marinette's room, by the way. It would just come up with these PNGs instead. We can explore the town, which looks awful, but Master Fu is here, and if we talk to him we get to use our orbs we collected to buy different abilities, which is actually pretty cool. And actually it does give you a reason to collect these orbs, which I discover later I should have probably been doing most of the time. You definitely don't need to collect all of them, but you should probably try to collect some if you want to actually upgrade Ladybug and Cat Noir. Also, the loading times between talking to Master Fu are so long. We can wander around and talk to the other characters that have nothing interesting to say, but my favorite part of this game is the cars. They only have one car model that moves, and it looks amazing. Look at that animation. Incredible. There's also no one driving, so that's pretty cool. We go to Marinette's school, which is also very boring. We can't actually do anything. It's just a different area for dialogue to pop up, nothing to actually do. Marinette was going to Jagged Stone's concert when his assistant gets akumatized once again because of fucking Mayor Bourgeois being a dick. So then we once again play as Ladybug and Cat Noir, running around the city, fighting these guys and jumping around giant instruments. This goes on for way too long. I think this is where I stopped playing last time I played because it was just so boring running around on these instruments. I wish the fighting and running around was at least satisfying so I still had a reason to like enjoy this game, but there's just nothing. My favorite part in the My Little Pony game was just running around and collecting the star bits because it was just really satisfying. The animation was really nice to look at, but in this game it's so ugly. We defeat the villain with this extremely laggy battle. This was so laggy because there's so many lights and stuff going on. I had no idea what I was doing. I'm just running around jamming buttons and it works, but God, it's hard to look at. But we defeat her in the most interesting way possible, and then more dialogue to read. My favorite gameplay. Is this what playing Danganronpa is like? I don't know, I've never played it. The police officer accuses Marinette of offensive behavior, which she clearly didn't do because she was at school and then at Jagged Stone's concert all day. But because of that, her parents get a fine from the officer, causing her dad to become upset and get akumatized into Weird Dad again. And once again, we're running around this ugly ass city. But this time it's even more ugly because it's covered in this paper from the villain, which looks so awful. Oh my god, this is embarrassing. But Ladybug is getting some more moves here, like we can pull things sometimes now. Pretty epic. There are a few like platforms for Cat Noir for something that we can't use yet. They're expecting us to replay these levels later on with our new abilities, which I will not be doing. Oh my god, this level is so ugly. Who approved of this? Once we finally get to Weird Dad, we have to chase him around this paper maze, which is very laggy and annoying. And you have to catch him without being caught or he'll throw paper at us. Ooh. I mean, at least the gameplay for the villains is all a little bit different, but it's all so boring. But we defeat him with shampoo. Hooray, classic Ladybug. And we read. Cool, I love reading. We joined the gang to play Max's new game he's made, and even though Marinette compliments his game, he suddenly gets mad at everyone for being rude about his game, even though they weren't, and he runs off to get akumatized. We actually do get to kind of walk around Luca's boat, so that's cool. A new area for doing nothing on. Pretty cool. And we're theorizing that there's some kind of copycat going around that's making everyone get angry, like pretending to be Max's friends and say that his game was bad and stuff like that. So now the city has been taken over by Max's powers and we're running around again. This one I actually liked. I actually thought this level was kind of fun because it had some different like platforms, like moving platforms and stuff, which was nice. And it was a lot more easier to look at than the paper level. We have to fight a lot of his goons here, and they get different abilities, which actually can make it a bit hard. Like, some of them will run at you. And I think mine kept glitching because they just would keep chasing me and not stop, so I just had to get hit. So I actually struggled with this level a lot. I died like 10 times. I am embarrassed to admit that, but I'm gonna be honest. I even had to restart this entire level to like go back and go collect more orbs from the older levels so I could get more abilities from Master Fu and be stronger at this level. So I had to like do the whole level all over again. So I guess you probably should try to collect more orbs because this level, this Max's level, was really hard, but this was the only one that was actually hard for me. The rest of them were fine. I think that this level was just kind of like glitched a bit. Even then, when I upgraded myself, I still kept dying. I kind of discovered a strategy of just like continuously jumping, and then if they chase you and don't stop, just to switch characters and you don't get hit. There's over 400 orbs on each level. You definitely don't need to collect that many. I just tried to collect like around 300 by that time so I could level up my characters, but also I only really leveled up Ladybug. The last fight with Max is actually a question game, which is cool and accurate to the show, and the questions were actually related to real things from the show, and I got 9 out of 10 correct because I'm an epic gamer. And we defeat him! Also, I found out that the green macaroons can be used to buy concept art, and I love concept art, but like using it as a thing that you have to buy in game is like kind of silly. And I still don't know what the orange and pink ones were for. Later we discuss with the others that there's someone going around pretending to be other people, which is confirmed when Alia sees 2 Kagamis. So we track down the copycat and
reasons to believe that you're not, well, exactly yourself.
As if.
I mean, come on guys, really? We find out it's Chloe behind the copying. She is mad that Ladybug won't give her the Be Miraculous, so she's working with Hawkmoth. As you may be able to tell if you're a Miraculous fan, all of these situations are mostly based on actual episodes, just some of them are changed slightly. Now we have to chase down akumatized Chloe, which is just the same boring thing. We do get to beat up our friends along the way. I don't know why Chloe's theme is just random chunks of gold. I think they just got a bit lazy here. And when fighting her, there's a bunch of Ariana Grandes to fight, which gets so laggy because there's so many of them. It's really hard to see what's going on. Just got a button mash the whole time. Also, her power is taking photos, so the screen flashes white, which hurts your eyes. But yeah, you don't have to try too much, you kind of just end up winning. But once you defeated the Akuma, Chloe gets kidnapped by a giant caterpillar. Even Hawkmoth is confused about it. So we have to track down the caterpillar into the sewers, which is our next level. Finally, something different instead of the cityscape, and it's the sewers. Great. Unfortunately, this is even more boring than the city. Just so much walking around these boring ass sewers, which is just the same thing. This did make me feel nostalgic though of one of the Lego Indiana Jones levels. And there's some like platforming here, and there's like acid floor, so that's interesting. We find the giant caterpillar, which we find out is a Senti monster being controlled by Mayura with the peacock Miraculous. God, this must be so confusing for anyone who hasn't watched the show. This fight is very confusing. I had no idea what I was supposed to do or if I was doing anything right, but something happens. Cat uses his cataclysm and we watch Mayura and the caterpillar fall through the ground. We then get this backstory cutscene of Gabriel and Natalie set a few years back before Ladybug and Cat Noir. We see Gabriel give her a necklace. Later we find out is the charm for the Senti monster, but I don't remember this happening in the show. So maybe this is some kind of news story for the game, but it's a little confusing. I don't really know what's happening. We then cut back to PNGs and text where Mayura tells Hawkmoth about her plan she's been working on without him, that everything that's happened is all part of her plan. The Senti monster is becoming more powerful, feeding on negative emotion. Hawkmoth takes control of the Senti monster, and he's ready to take down Ladybug and Cat Noir for good this time. Like we haven't heard that before. We collect baby caterpillars from Master Fu. Epic gameplay. Now it's time for the final battle. So now the city is very purple and covered in like web, and it's very ugly. But we get to climb the Eiffel Tower, which is actually quite cool. I didn't expect that. And the platforming here is a lot more difficult. There's lots of timing things going on. But the main reason this is difficult is because sometimes the double jump just doesn't work. And the platforms are really hard to miss because you can't really tell where they are all the time, or sometimes if you miss it slightly, you'll fall through it. So it's not actually hard in a good way. It's only hard because it's so glitchy, which just isn't good gameplay. This level was okay though, but it got boring because it went on for way too long. We get to the fight, and the Senti monster actually looks really cool. And it's called the Sphinx, which is the reason for the name of the game. The fight is very easy. You can just jump around to avoid any attack. Cat Noir cataclysms the moth, which makes it go kind of crazy, which is what happens when he cataclysms Senti monsters. And the moth like releases some kind of dust, which makes Ladybug kind of give hope for a bit. But then Cat Noir, the real hero, helps her to get out of it. And we get to fight Hawkmoth, which is pretty cool. Didn't expect that. So we get to beat him up in this laggy fight, and then we watch Hawkmoth fall to his death. We destroy the Senti monster, and then boom, credits. It does really end like that. But then after credits, there's kind of a little sequence of reading some stuff, like seeing how everyone's doing and stuff. Nothing really interesting. But at the end we get told we unlocked new suits for Ladybug and Cat Noir, which is cool, and I wish I could show you them, but then I accidentally reset the whole game. Oops. Clearly I wasn't focusing because the option just came up when you finish the game if you want to reset it, and I just pressed OK. I didn't think it actually meant reset. I thought it just meant like make a new save, you know what I mean? But it reset the whole game. So I mean, why would you give that as an option as soon as you finish with just one click of a button? I did find this YouTube video by Miraculous Gamer showing the skins you unlock, which is this Ladybug one, which is cool, and this Cat Noir one, which looks like his spacesuit. And it turns out there's actually a DLC you can buy with 2 more Ladybug skins and a Cat Blanc suit, which is really cool, but charging extra money for this is crazy. I was reading a review on Steam that also says the skins don't change in the cutscenes, only in the gameplay. New skins is a nice thing to add, but I don't think anyone's gonna replay this game just to play it in new skin. Maybe they should have made it as an option you could buy them in Master Fu's like store. This game only takes 3 hours to finish, longer if you choose to collect all the orbs, which I didn't. You definitely don't need to level up too much, but Max's level was the hardest ones that I did need to level up for. The rest of them were fine. So overall, how is the game? It's pretty awful, but the story isn't that bad. I was surprised that there kind of was some lore at the end there, and I did find that a bit interesting because it was kind of different to what we've seen in the show. But there is so much going on in that show that maybe I just forgot that it did happen in the show. But like the Senti monster was cool. That was probably the best part, was like the Senti monster scene, and the cutscenes there were pretty good too. Overall, the cutscenes weren't that bad, but the gameplay itself was just so bad. And the fact that most of the gameplay is just reading is just so lazy to me. Every boss fight was very laggy on my Switch, which that might just be because I'm playing on Switch, but this is the only game on my Switch that's ever lagged for me. I've never had any issues with any other games that are a lot more powerful than this game. So I think that is more of a problem, that they just didn't think of the Switch when they were making this game. They just released it on there anyway, even though they didn't really make it to look good on there. The gameplay is boring, it's hard to look at, it's ugly, it's pixelated, the environments are just so repetitive. And when you're playing as the civilian forms, the areas that you can explore just look so terrible. Thankfully there is like a teleportation system with the map. You can just travel anywhere, you don't have to run around to get to the places, but I don't know why they made the map like so big even though it's so empty and hard to look at. I definitely don't think this game is worth your money. Even if it's on sale, I wouldn't pay that. Too late for me to say that now, but hopefully I've stopped you if you were interested in buying it. I only finished this game because I made myself do it for this video. It's a shame though because a Miraculous game has so much potential and I really think that it can be done well. Could you imagine a game where you can swing around like Spider-Man but you're a ladybug? Like, be so cool. Maybe one day they'll try again with a different company. I hope so. Even I think Outright Games would make something more nice to look at than this. Very young kids may like this game if they're fans of the show, but even I think young kids would get bored and they'll probably get frustrated at some of the more difficult areas that are very glitchy. So I think even kids would be better off getting them like a Mario game or something because you'll have a lot more playtime and it's a lot nicer to look at. There are much better games you can get for less money that have a lot more playtime instead of just 3 hours of pure boredom. If you have played this game though, I would love to hear your thoughts. If anyone actually enjoys the game, I would love to hear that too. You know, I'm always open to things like this. If you've seen my My Little Pony video game review, you would know that I really liked those games despite some issues that I had. I thought overall they were good games. So I'm pretty open to games even if they're obviously aimed at kids and not adults. But this game is just really bad and I don't think it's worth getting for your kids either. But I'm glad this video gave me a reason to finish it and I had fun writing the script for this video. Thanks for watching guys, I'll see you in the next video. Bye!